The Hong Kong Zhuhai Macao Bridge is a major trilateral undertaking, uniting the people of the Pearl River Delta. Hong Kong's contribution to this vast engineering exercise is split into three major sections: the Hong Kong Link Road, the boundary crossing facilities, and the Tuen Mun Chet Lap Kok Link. This section of the works, Contract 09, is the part of the Hong Kong Link Road that enters the territory west of the airport and continues on viaducts to the portal at Scenic Hill. Joint venture partners Dragage, China Harbour and VSL have a long history of building viaducts and bridges. In 2007, they successfully collaborated together on the construction of the Qingyi viaducts. Dragage have a long association with Hong Kong and have an enviable reputation for innovation, excellence and safety in the construction workplace. China Harbour Engineering is a world-renowned marine contractor, and they are currently working on the reclamation for the border crossing control facilities adjacent to the airport and have a considerable team and resource mobilized and ready to undertake the works. VSL is a leader in the field of concrete bridges and specialist structures. They have designed and constructed some of Hong Kong's biggest and most challenging steel structures, and their portfolio includes the Sha Tin T3 Elevated Road, Deep Bay Link and the Shenzhen Western Corridor. Predominantly built over the sea, the 9.3-kilometre Hong Kong Link Road enters the territory and crosses the Hong Kong West Navigation Channel and then passes the turnaround facility before straddling the North Lantau coast at San Sek 1 and Sa Lo Wan as it enters the airport channel. The bridge then crosses another navigation channel before making landfall on the south of the airport platform. The final section will be built into the seawall until it interfaces with the Scenic Hill section of the Link Road. The JV have identified a number of potential geological faults that interface with the bridge alignment and may therefore require lower than expected founding levels for the piling. The construction process commences with the installation of a silt curtain and a series of steel posts for the construction of a temporary working platform for the piling operations. Steel caissons will be delivered by barge and lowered into position on the seabed. These caissons will form guides for the construction of the permanent piles. The key to the piling construction will be the use of the Kelly method, which ensures significantly less water pollution than traditional methods. A service barge for spoil removal will be on hand to store spoil prior to disposal. After the rock sockets have been cleaned, the prefabricated piling rebar cages will be lowered into position in tandem with the remaining piling works. Following the placement of the rebar, concrete will be poured using the Tremie method into the caisson from a barge and the piling works completed. The temporary working platform can then be dismantled and reused. Steel brackets will be welded to the steel pile caissons underwater to allow the installation of the prefabricated steel and concrete pile cap formwork. Constructed off-site and delivered by barge, the prefabricated steel and concrete pile cap formwork, securely connected to the pile caissons and sealed prior to pumping out the water, negates the need for time-consuming and elaborate on-site formwork. As with the formwork, the reinforcement for the pile cap is also prefabricated and delivered to the site by barge and dropped into position prior to the concrete being poured and the pile cap construction completed. The steel formwork is then dismantled and reused. The concrete columns which will support the completed viaduct are also precast. They will be delivered to the pile cap by barge and lifted into position. After completion of the columns, the first segment is lifted into place using the heavy-duty crane and secured to the column head. Then the lifting frame will be placed on top of the segment in readiness for the delivery of the precast segments. The first segment will be temporarily lifted onto the pile cap and then hoisted up by the lifting frame into location. The method of installation is by using a balanced cantilever system, whereby the precast segments are hoisted into position either side of the column. Over half of the precast segments that make up this section of the Hong Kong Zhuhai Macao Bridge are placed by one of two existing launching girders. The deck structure completed by lifting frame provides the working platform for the launching girder to be assembled in situ. Once tested and commissioned, the 150-metre-long girder capable of lifting up to 140 tons will be moved into a central position before being self-propelled forward using inbuilt winches onto the adjacent completed column. After the front legs are connected to provide support for the girder, the anchor trusses are then located into position on the existing segments. Once the truss is securely fixed to the bridge structure, the final launch can take place. A second gantry crane will be constructed to lift the precast segments up to the deck level, where they will be transported to the launching girder for installation. These segments, installed at a rate of 4 per shift and weighing up to 135 tons, will be maneuvered into position either side of the column and pre-stressed. This process alternates between the northern and southern spans and repeats until the center infill stitch is poured in situ. Where the bridge spans over the environmentally protected headland between San Sek Wan and Sha Lo Wan, the construction methodology will be by a balanced cantilever-formed traveller. This system effectively leaves the protected coastline undisturbed, whilst the construction of the bridge deck continues above. Along the airport platform, the alignment of the Hong Kong Link Road follows the coast, and therefore the seawall needs to be breached to allow the foundations to be constructed. The existing rock armour will be removed and a temporary seawall built using concrete blocks. The area will be backfilled to form a working platform for the piling equipment. A sheet pile cofferdam will be installed before the piling can begin. The method of piling will be by a mechanical grab through the upper section of soft soil and fill, and by a reverse circulation drill or RCD through the rock down to the founding level. After piling, the ground will be excavated down to beneath the formation level to allow for a concrete plug to be installed. The rebar will then be placed and the pile cap poured. After the in-situ concrete column has been constructed, the temporary seawall will be removed and the rock armour replaced and the seawall made good. The JV are conscious of the local wildlife and marine life in the vicinity of the works. They share both the public's and the government's desire to minimise the impact on nature during the construction of the bridge. There will be no percussive piling. All marine work will be preceded by the installation of silt curtains to minimise any disturbance to the surrounding waters. As another example of this commitment, if a dolphin is spotted during the installation of the silt curtains or the piling, work will immediately be suspended. Any project within close vicinity of the airport has to endure stringent checks and controls to ensure that air safety is not compromised. The team's experience and record clearly demonstrates their competence at working within the height restrictions imposed on the project. Off-site precasting of viaduct sections and columns and the reduced number of piles minimises in-situ concreting at the work sites, which in turn lowers the risk of marine spillage and any negative impact on water quality. The Dragage China Harbour VSL JV are mindful of the commitment made by the Hong Kong government to open the bridge in line with the works proceeding on the mainland and at Macau. They believe their bid for this project offers the government the best solution in meeting this challenge. The Hong Kong Zhuhai Macao Bridge is an international venture which requires an experienced, knowledgeable and cohesive team. The Dragage China Harbour VSL JV are ready and committed to undertake this challenge.